What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be sort of a broad discussion slash conversation opener about what I'm liking the title to be the monthly content problem. I think I like that title. I think it's going to be the title of the video, or at least something close to that, something similar to that name. So, the monthly content problem, at least for me, it revolves around the event quest and the side quest. So, for the past year and a bit, maybe even year and a half, the monthly event quest and the side quest have not been an enjoyable experience at all. The rewards are far from worth it for people at the Paragon level and beyond, and the only thing that makes it any like a shred of meaning is there's a little bit of refined XP in the Paragon Gauntlet, and even that is not worth the effort and the time it takes to like go and do the event quest, because it's just not super enjoyable anymore, because it's not rewarding. If all you're doing the event quest for is a fifth of a 7 star and a small portion of refined XP, that's not worth the potential hours and days that you commit to that type of content. Yeah, of course it's there, so doing it's better than not doing it, but you're not enjoying it. And the side quest is the same thing. The side quest has become basically a Mysterium Fest with very limited rewards outside of that. So I want to talk about both of those things in this video. I think there's a relatively easy solution for one of them, and then the other one, I don't really know the easiest solution. And by easy, I have no idea what easy looks like in terms of reward implementation. I'm just saying from the perspective of a high-end player, the highest progression level you can be, who does monthly content but doesn't enjoy them. That's what I would think to be the best solution for at least one thing. So let's talk about that one thing right now, which is the monthly event quest and then the subsequent Paragon Gauntlet that's associated with. So I think there's a couple of ways that you could alleviate this process and this content for endgame players. I think the most simplified way to just streamline it is to put the Paragon Gauntlet key in the event quest completion for Valiant players. So I'm not suggesting you just completely scrap Thronebreaker event quest and Paragon Gauntlet. The first suggestion that I have for the monthly event quest and the Paragon Gauntlet would just be put that key, put that ticket in completion for Valiant players. That way, you're still getting the engagement. The Valiant players are still running through the content for Thronebreaker, and then they're doing the Paragon Gauntlet every month because, hey, if it only takes them like 2 hours to do everything, run through the EQ and do the Paragon Gauntlet, boom, you've got your engagement, you've got your Valiant players logging in for that content, and there you go. You've already got players logging in basically every day for other things. The event quest is certainly not one of them for Valiant players specifically. I'm really focusing on super high-end Paragon players and then Valiant players. They're not logging in every day to the event quest, because even if you did that, you'd be done with it with probably half the month to go. So my first suggestion would be put that key. Now, I would show you the key, but I've already done the event quest. I just finished it recently, actually. I took kind of a while to get it done. So I would show you if I had it, but the suggestion I have, the first suggestion, is to put that key for the Paragon Gauntlet in event quest completion. Now, of course, the better alternative would be to have a Valiant or Paragon level event quest, to not have to worry about the Paragon Gauntlet supplementing the rewards that Paragon players are looking for. And now that there's Valiant players, the Paragon rewards they're not great. Like, these rewards, I would be absolutely fine if these were rewards that you got for just clearing the EQ and doing one run of the gauntlet. That's fine. But for doing the entire EQ, all of the paths, and then getting these as the rewards for a Valiant player, this is basically nothing. This is like, you can get this from the side quest alone and then some. And we're going to talk about that in a second, but don't worry, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I want to parse things out here. But the second suggestion that I have is just the next iteration of the event quest. So way back in the day, I'm not sure if many players are even familiar with the event that I'm about to talk about, but there was something called Symbiote difficulty. I believe it was released when the first summoned Symbiote came out, and I don't know if it came back for the second iteration of him or if it only happened one time. But Symbiote difficulty was essentially a condensed version of the event quest that could only be done with the summoned Symbiote with these massive boosters. The paths were basically cut in half, but all the health pools were like double or triple. That concept brought back for a Valiant event quest would be killer. It would absolutely be stellar, because then not only do you have great rewards on a monthly basis for Valiant players who play the event quest, but then you have those incentivized rewards for Paragon and Thronebreaker players who can't access the Valiant EQ to get in there and get the rewards. And it also makes the climb up through Thronebreaker and the Paragon Gauntlet for those Paragon players even more worth it, because you're building towards that Valiant status. So my suggestions for the EQ, to sum it up in a nice little bow here. Number one would be to put the Paragon Gauntlet key in completion of the event quest and not exploration. My second suggestion, the one that I would much prefer, is to have a Valiant style event quest, whatever that looks like a symbiote difficulty, even if it's a Paragon EQ with better rewards, just something on a monthly basis for the Valiant players to do, outside of, the typical things that you do on a monthly basis, like your battlegrounds and your potentially your arena, and then of course we're going to talk about the side quests too. But more things to do for Valiant players is always a good thing. More things to do, more engagement, it's a win-win relationship. Now, I do want to preface by saying, yes, I have no idea what it looks like to manage the economy of resources in this game. So all I'm saying here is this is from the perspective of a player, not from an economist. So when I say, better rewards for Valiant players, Valiant EQ, I'm not hyper analyzing what that looks like in terms of reward structure, but just the concept itself, I think, is a long overdue thing. So now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the side quests. Now, side quests, I'm going to put it bluntly, side quests have been terrible in the past 12 months. Just terrible. I can't even remember off the top of my head a decent side quest in the past year. And if there was a decent one, please remind me, because I am happy to be wrong. I'm happy to be reminded that there was one. But from my memory, I cannot remember a side quest in the past 12 months of the past calendar year that stuck out to me as, wow, this is really good. I'm so happy this is here. This is what we should see from a side quest, It's been a long time since we've seen Deadpool's Treasure Island, or whatever that event was called. And that doesn't have to be the norm for every single side quest. But for a side quest to reward essentially a Mysterium as the legitimate only currency, and then a small amount of Titan shards. Yeah, the Titan shards are nice, sure, but that's it. That's it. The Titan shards are great. I love Titan shards, but 10% of a Titan crystal over the course of an entire month doesn't feel wonderful, and it also hyperinflates the value of Titan shards, at least from the perspective of a monthly event quest and a monthly side quest. It hyperinflates the value of a Titan crystal. 1 month gets you 2,000 shards, so after 10 months, you get a Titan crystal. That's insane. That's a little ridiculous for this whole concept and this structure. But let's talk about the biggest issue that I have with side quests. That's Mysterium. So Mysterium is the new currency that was introduced. I don't know if it was a year ago or 2 years ago at this point. It's kind of foggy, but Mysterium was this initial hot topic thing, this hot button item that was super valuable when it first came out, and it really felt like it was going to make a difference long term. Now, Mysterium is still valuable. I don't want to discredit the fact that I still use Mysterium on a weekly basis, because I do. As you can see, I buy this offer out, I buy this offer out, and I even buy this offer out. This is the best offer right here, the 1200 Mysterium for the Tier 5 class Catalyst Selector. That's the best Mysterium offer. That thing doesn't have to change. That thing is lovely. That's my favorite offer in the entire Mysterium store. Everything else, though, could use with a significant facelift, or you leave this the same, you give us Mysterium still, but you increase the rewards from the side quest itself. Because I would not be opposed to the idea of the Mysterium store existing as this, it has a ceiling, right? So if the store exists to have a ceiling for each progression level, because this is, I believe it's either the Valiant or the Paragon. I think it's actually Valiant that this store is at the level of. I don't think there's a Paragon Valiant. I think it's Paragon and Valiant. So if it has a designated ceiling, it doesn't want to go any further than it is currently. That's fine, and that's okay. I can deal with that, and I can live with that. I think that where it gets frustrating for me is the side quest itself is primarily Mysterium. And when you're giving us a resource that has sort of plateaued pretty early in its lifetime, it doesn't feel worth it to continue doing the side quest to get the plateaued resource. So I think the easiest, and again, I'm speaking as a player here, the easiest solution for this would be maybe rework the Mysterium store and make it not necessarily the best store in the entire game. It can't be like an offer. It can't be like a Valentine's Day or a July 4th store every single week. It can't be like the Battleground store. I understand that, but the store itself, it can have value and it can have purpose. It just doesn't serve a great one right now. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it is a bad store at all. I think there is even value for Valiant players. Like this offer right here, the T5CC. It's very hard to find T5CC selectors even now. This was a 6-star problem, and even now it's still difficult to find it for a relatively inexpensive price. You can get 2 of those a week basically for no effort, and I like that a lot. But I feel like this store could be so much more, and if it were to become so much more, then the value of the side quest would shoot up. And again, to re-emphasize the point here, I don't know what all of that looks like in terms of game balance and economy balance, so I'm speaking from the perspective of a Valiant player here who wants monthly content to be more engaging, outside of the other monthly content that we have that isn't even necessarily monthly, because like story content is monthly. You don't have to play Battlegrounds every month. You don't have to play AQ. Raids are once every 4 weeks. So, monthly content that's actually here for the month, that is only available for the month, and then it goes away. That's the event quest and the side quest. So I think revamping either the Mysterium store itself, the Trader's Outpost, or putting rewards back into the side quest outside of a singular individual item like a 30th of a Titan crystal, or something asinine like that. I think that would make in the investment of time for the event quest and the side quest feel a lot better, especially because Valiant players crave content. Something that just came out was the Epoch of Pain, perfect for Valiant players, and an incentive for Paragon players and Thronebreaker players to get to that level. Necropolis is another great example. The Crucible, another great example. Top tier players in the toppest tier, in the highest progression tier, want content that is geared towards them. This store is not geared towards Valiant players anymore. The monthly event quest has not been geared towards Paragon players, let alone Valiant players. So overall, the sort of summation of what I'm trying to say here to tie it up in a nice, beautiful red bow is monthly content in Marvel Contest of Champions could use with a significant facelift. And by monthly content, I mean the event quest and the side quest. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts about this dilemma, the monthly content problem, down below. I'm very, very interested to see what people have to say about this, to potentially hear suggestions, solutions, offer further problems that maybe I didn't mention in this video. Because if I went and I tried to list off every single problem, it may be a significantly longer video, and I don't want to make this too long. I want to make it sort of digestible for the general audience. But I really hope you enjoyed this format of video. I always like to come on here and, speak my mind, and I like to talk as well. I like to play, but I also like to talk. So I hope this was an enjoyable video format for you. And if you liked it, I really hope you did, please consider hitting that subscribe button and also hitting like. Both of those things are incredibly helpful for the channel, and it pushes the word out there to the YouTube algorithm that I'm making content people are enjoying. Thank you all very much again for watching. Please sound off in the comments down below. I'm very curious to hear all of your thoughts and responses, and I will see you all in the next video.